Hey, what's going on, everyone? How are you? Sorry, I'm a minute or two behind. I was trying to get some stuff done last minute, and then also I had originally scheduled this for 4 p.m. YouTube didn't update it because sometimes how this thing works doesn't work out very well for updating when you want to schedule a stream. So here we are with that. And let's want to make sure that I want to make sure that I'm up. Take a look here. Cause it's not. It says that I'm live, but it's not showing me what's going on. Okay, good. I am good. Good. Good to hear. Good to hear. So yeah, unfortunately, a couple minutes behind on that one today. Not intentional, but it is how it is. Just want to get headphones ready so we can do the trailer of Pacific Rim, whatever. Yeah, the new Pacific Rim movie. Like, what's up with that, right? There we go. So, sorry, Void, if you were about to fap. There should be sound. Let me see. Last minute, and then also, I had is there no sound? This for 4 p.m. YouTube didn't update. No, there's sound. Okay. I don't know who's saying why they're saying there's no sound. There's sound. There's sound. So here we are with that. Okay, cool beans. Pause that. All right. So you can catch up on it. Hypothesis. You keep talking a lot about. Pokemon. I take it you're a big fan. I take it. You like the Pokemans. You like the Pokemans. How many poopy diapers have I changed today? Today I haven't changed any poopy ones personally, but there has been poopy ones. I know that much. Okay, I just want to tweet this out real quick. We can do this and then get going. So yeah, all right. Where is that? So yeah, there's not like a great deal of news today, so it'll be kind of a quick episode. I'm just gonna, once I start, I'm pretty much just going to blaze through it without stopping in between necessarily. We're just gonna keep going. I want to try a bit of a different format, and then we'll talk about it afterward. So if you guys want to do like, keep your questions for then. Super Chat will get the preferential treatment just because it's easier for that one, and we'll go through there. So we can do that and everything else. Let's see here. Okay, I am now not love. I know. You can right here. I have a mechanical keyboard, so it's straight up loud. Okay. Cool. All right, well, we'll give it a couple minutes here. Let me pop out the chat so I can see that. And no, I don't like that at all. I like that the only way for me to get a black background on the chat is to pull from the YouTube gaming. So what you're seeing on the screen with the black here is I'm actually pulling from a YouTube gaming platform as a way of doing that. I think that's pretty interesting. So there's a fair amount there. But yeah, things are looking good today. A lot of good stuff with movies and everything. Yeah, click. I know. There's some new stuff with Incredibles 2. I haven't seen that personally. Wait, didn't they release like some new character information? That kind of stuff. Let me take a quick look here. Well, I'll see if there's anything I need to pull from. Oh, there's a new one here. Okay, we'll do that one too. I can add to it. All right. I don't know. Well, I'm just, bringing that up. Okay, there we go. Keep reading, it's the same one, so bring in, you guys can see the changes. Okay. I'm looking just to see if there's anything else I missed today. There's one on, like, Bill and Ted 3 plot details, but it's, like, the same one I've read before, and it's, like, not new. So I was gonna do that. But unfortunately, wasn't a thing. All right. I'm not seeing much here in regards to... The Incredibles. So just looking, let's see, maybe I'm just looking at I'm looking for the news stories. I haven't seen the news stories yet. There's always a lot going on. There's like always. So the question is like, which one do you do, right? Which one do you dive into? It's always hard to tell. So, okay. Oh, well, there's going to be some Star Wars deleted scenes. Let's see what this is. So, oh, what? Hold on. So, Star Wars The Last Jedi apparently has some, I'm just looking at this real quick, has some deleted scenes, but there's a twist. We won't actually be seeing them. Lucasfilm has a very special Star Wars use in this way. So, oh, hold on. You can, oh, okay. Oh, I see what it is. Okay, so essentially what it boils down to is the novelization of The Last Jedi has some extra scenes added in that didn't make it into the movie and I guess weren't actually filmed. So, and the novelization of it is coming on March 6th. So I'll have to pick that up and give it a read. Because apparently that's where Han Solo's funeral is. Okay. Because that was a thing. That was a thing that was reported was Han Solo's funeral. That was meant to be something we were supposed to get closure for Han Solo. And this was reported like a year ago almost. So, oh, I see. Okay, so, and further explorations into the world of Canto Bight. Maybe I should talk about that. Yeah, I will talk about that because I need a good Star Wars video. All right. This will be a loaded episode. Fuck me. Okay, there's going to be a loaded episode here. Okay. Wait, wrong one. There we go. God damn. This is what happens, man. Like, you think you got it. You think you got what you want. You got what you need. You think you got it, but you don't got nothing, man. You don't got nothing. Because it just likes to totally screw with you. Okay. So we're 7 minutes of Sense going live right now. We are currently looking at 63 people in here. Fantastic. I love that you guys hang out with me here. So, no, when do they have time for the funeral? I will talk about that. I will talk about that. Yeah, I agree. Miles, let me make sure you're that. Okay. Maybe saving it for episode 9. Maybe. But Leia's gone, man. Like, Leia's gone. This is some stuff. This is some stuff. Holy crap. All right. So let's do this. Let's definitely get this thing rolling the right way. And again, I'm gonna breeze through this. I got a bunch of stuff. I just want to get it out. So hold your questions until the end. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And maybe I have 8 that I can go to, but we'll go to 6 and see how we're doing. And then after that, we'll rock out with our cocks out. So let's definitely do this. All right, let's make sure everything. I just want to make sure I'm good. I'm looking all sexy in my background and everything. All right, so I don't even know. This it's not pre-recorded information, so everything's live right now. But let's get going here. And I totally lost my train of thought because I'm so inclined to start off the show like I would be doing a video. You know what I mean? Like I'm like I take snippets from the show. I'm so inclined to just like go, hey everyone, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater. Like I'm so focused on doing that because I do that all the time. So I sometimes lose my train of thought. So this is gonna be this is the problem with doing it live. You people throw me off my game. It's your fault. Don't be kidding. All right. I can't do it. God damn. Okay. In July 2013, we were treated to a film unlike any other in at least a very long time. And that would be Guillermo del Toro's Pacific Rim. That movie I loved, man. I thought it was fantastic. I saw it in 3D for the first time. The 3D was something I usually tend to avoid because I wear glasses, but it worked out quite well, and the film itself was a lot of fun, and I've always wanted to see a sequel. And when they announced that Pacific Rim Uprising was happening and that Guillermo wasn't involved, I was a little bit disappointed until I found out that Stephen DeKnight was actually the person who was directing it. Now, Stephen DeKnight is a name you may not know, but you should know this guy's work. Not only is he the dude behind the first season of Daredevil, who came in for Drew Goddard at the last minute, took over and brought that series, I think, to a very, very, very high bar, set the bar for the Marvel Netflix series. He also was the guy behind Spartacus. Now, Spartacus is a show that is very over the top, very violent, but a lot of fun. The fan base surrounding Spartacus is a very dedicated one, and the 4 seasons we got were great. The season 3 finale of Spartacus, I still consider one of the best hours of television ever. Had so many good moments in it and a lot of great characters. And so Stephen DeKnight coming on board to direct this movie had me feeling pretty good about it. And then I saw the first trailer. I did not really care for the first trailer. I'm not going to lie. I saw the trailer and I thought to myself, this looks dumb. Like, it just looks too kiddified. You know, John Boyega looks good, you know, but it looks, the CG didn't look, like, it looked too cartoonish. And maybe that was the point, right? Maybe that was the entire point. Maybe they were trying to sit there and make it look like it's something that would appear on a Saturday morning cartoon or maybe an anime, considering that it is giant robots versus, well, giant monsters. Kaiju versus, you know, mecha kaiju, essentially. And now we have ourselves the second trailer that apparently gives us more plot, and I thought it would be a lot of fun to go through that together to see what kind of stuff we're working with Pacific Rim Uprising. So let's take a listen.
Jake, your father always said he wanted you to be a pilot.
He said a lot of things. I'm not a hero like he was.
Okay, so this is Kid.
Kaiju. They're gonna come back. I'm not gonna be stuck waiting for someone else to come save my ass.
Cadets, you better gear up.
Okay.
This is the way the world ends.
How'd they get into our world?
Someone let them in. Someone from our world.
Who is that?
Definitely not one of ours.
Let's do this.
Okay.
This is your chance to make things right.
We're gonna need more pilots.
We have them. There are pilots we remember as legends, but they didn't start out that way. They started out like us. This is our time to make a difference. Do you understand? Jaeger pilots, do you understand?
One way to find out.
That's what I'm talking about!
Okay. Is that Tupac? Are they playing Tupac? Nice.
Gonna be a long day.
What do we do?
We fight!
Okay. 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 So, all right. Much better trailer. I'm sold on the movie. I know that may not be for everybody out there. I get that, but I'm sold on the movie. If that is, I think that was Pac in the trailer. If it was Tupac in the trailer, I'm down. Love me some Pac. You know, rest in peace. No, but the thing is, the plot looks interesting because now we got a bit more here. So in the first trailer, it showed us a bit more about humans versus humans in the Jaegers, right? Those are all fighting each other. And then you've got, obviously now the kaiju have returned, and they basically say that somebody opened the portal that was previously shut from the nuclear implosion of the Gypsy Danger at the end of the first movie, and they're opening it up and bringing it back in. So why is that happening? Well, obviously that's the mystery of the movie, but let me just make a prediction right now, because this is ultimately what I feel when I saw. If they're battling each other, right? Obviously this is corporation versus corporation. This is some type of corporate hostile takeover. No, probably. Like, probably is. It's probably some company that builds the Jaegers that's been losing or something, opens the portal, brings in the kaiju in order to basically thin out the competition and then come in as the saviors at the end and wipe out the whole threat, reseal it, and therefore become the dominant party for manufacturers of these machines. That is probably the best theory I can roll with here, and it just feels to me like that's what they're going to go for. It just because what else would there be? If someone, they kind of already hinted at it, if someone else opened the portal, why would they do that? You know, this is obviously because they are trying to control this. This is all about money, I think, which could be interesting. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Either way, I'm going to go see the movie. It looks like a lot of fun. It looks a lot more fun than the first time I saw the trailer. It's still going to be cartoony, but the CG's been a lot better. And I like John Boyega, and I like Scott Eastwood. And it's got the chick from the first movie in it. It's got Charlie Day's back. I do hope Ron Perlman comes back and does play a part, as well as the son of the guy who lived at the end of the first movie, the Australian guy. So there's a lot there. And I know Charlie Hunnam is not in the movie, but I do hope he makes an appearance. So I think that'd be pretty cool. And if this one does pretty well, you can tell that they're going to probably continue the franchise going. I think this is something Universal very much wants to make their next big thing. I think they looked at The Mummy and they saw The Mummy, the Dark Universe isn't working out very well. What can we do now that we're coming down to the final couple Fast and Furious movies? And, you know, I have a feeling they want this to be their next big franchise. And if the script is good, and if the movie is good and they can set up a larger world and a larger set of problems, that's not just going to be a complete copy-paste from previous films, then of course it could be pretty good. Now, I would predict for the third movie, because probably this is going to cliffhanger into a third movie, or at least set up a third movie, is that they themselves will take the Jaegers into the portal and go and shut it down from like the inside, like essentially suicide squatting themselves as a way to stop this invasion. That's my prediction for the third movie. We'll have to wait until March 23rd to see whether or not I'm right on any one of my other predictions, but yeah, I want to see it. I want to see it. It looks pretty good. I don't care. Are people going to give me crap over it? But it looks all right. It looks all right. But speaking of other things being turned into movies here, we've apparently found out that a Cat in the Hat animated movie is in the works. Now, the 2002, is it 2002 or 2003? Cat in the Hat movie starring Mike Myers is a nightmare of a film. It is a bad movie, right? I mean, clearly coming off of Ron Howard's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Dr. Seuss guys really wanted it to be a follow-up to that. They wanted it to be something as good as How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It wasn't. It was just a mess of a movie that at this point in time, probably I would say I would blame this movie too for launching Paris Hilton's film career. Because if you recall at the time, you probably don't, but I do. At the time, Paris Hilton's 2-3 second cameo in the movie was actually a big deal before the film came out. And yeah, I remember seeing that part and going, who is that again? And then a couple months later, you find out about A Night in Paris and you're just like, oh, I still don't care. But ultimately, The Cat in the Hat was a bad movie. I think we all can agree with that. Then, of course, they tried it again, animated with Horton Hears a Who, which was, oh, okay, sorry, Jim Carrey, it was all right. You also got The Lorax, which was a horrible, soulless, just a bad movie. I watched that movie and I hated it. I hated every second of it. But I still love me some Dr. Seuss. So, if an animated Cat in the Hat movie is in the works, and it's not going to be Mike Myers trying too hard, then maybe we got ourselves a decent situation. Now, it says here that according to The Hollywood Reporter, Warner Animation Group signed a deal with Dr. Seuss Enterprises to create a series of movies based on the work of Dr. Seuss, and the first to get an animated feature is The Cat in the Hat. The studio will reportedly begin its search for a writer for the project soon. So, am I to believe, my takeaway from this essentially, is that the Dr. Seuss cinematic universe is going to be upon us quite soon? All I can say to that is hell yeah. Seriously, if they could find a way to tie in the books and make it a larger cinematic universe, I'm actually on board with this. Provided that The Cat in the Hat is presented as a single standalone movie that's not trying to build off the merits of a proposed standalone universe or as a proposed cinematic universe, and therefore, you know, kind of screw up the film, like 2017's The Mummy from Universal, or King Arthur from Warner Brothers, or probably going to be even the new Robin Hood from Lionsgate. You have to start with a good enough movie and go from there. And that's not something that we've seen very often recently when people try to dive into that realm. But this is Dr. Seuss. It's a series of non-connected books, but very similarly themed, and if done properly, could find themselves in the right position. Now, it says here that for generations, Dr. Seuss has entertained and delighted children and adults alike with his whimsical tales. Dr. Seuss Enterprises President Susan Brandt said, "Our partnership with Warner Animation Group continues those efforts by reimagining the beloved characters and stories for theater-going audiences while keeping the integrity of Dr. Seuss's vision intact." Now, you have to love that she says theater-going audiences. So they're clearly going to be putting a budget behind this because they're going to try to capitalize on the kids that still go see movies. It's one of the reasons why animated films do better in theaters. Parents will take their kids to go see it multiple times. It's a good way to make some money. Warner Animation Group Executive Vice President Allison Abade, whatever, I probably mispronounced it, I apologize, will manage the studio partnership with Dr. Seuss Enterprises. WAG's next major film, Smallfoot, will be released on September 28th. So, and then followed by a sequel to the Lego Movie. Now, first off, I just want to point out that it is an absolute shame that Lego Batman did not get nominated for an Academy Award for Best Animated Picture. That was awesome. But yet Ferdinand did. So Warner has a ways to go. But Dr. Seuss is a very beloved series of books, a very beloved franchise. And you could tell that they're trying to probably enter into this game from not only an award perspective, but a financial one. They want to make a lot of money off of this, and I don't blame them. Now, we do know that they are doing How the Grinch Stole Christmas, but I don't know if that's being done. I think that's being done through Fox and not Warner's. So that connection to the books is not going to be there. However, that would be pretty cool. I would assume that they're going to probably do the Lorax and maybe not the Lorax. I don't know. What's it? Green Eggs and Ham will probably be a movie. And a bunch of those books are probably going to be movies. Those ones that aren't being done through, I believe, Blue Sky Animation over there at Fox, which if they still hold the rights to the other ones, then expect that to go to Disney. Oh, snaps. I didn't even think about that one. That's something, right? So if they sign this deal before Fox goes to Disney, right? Think about that. They're signing this deal before 20th Century Fox goes in under the Disney umbrella. Therefore, if they have the rights to that property through Blue Sky or whatever, I don't know if that's a subsidiary, but if Fox has the rights to that, then that would go to Disney. And just imagine Disney and Pixar tackling Dr. Seuss. Now that would be a hell of a thing. So Warner's is clearly trying to capitalize on it and secure it and lock it down before that inevitably happens now at this point, which is interesting. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with this. I do have a feeling that they are going to very much make themselves a series of good movies, and I hope that they live up to the hype and the name that is Dr. Seuss. So jumping over here into another story that I just find to be utterly fascinating is the Netflix discussion about possibly picking up Cloverfield 3 or God Particle or Cloverfield Station from Paramount and publishing it on Netflix. This has got a lot of fans absolutely freaking out over this, mostly because they want to see it. This is like a guaranteed way of seeing it, and Paramount has repeatedly pushed back the release date of God Particle, and I don't quite know why, to be honest with you. I don't quite understand why they keep pushing it back. But then again, Paramount hasn't really been having the best of times recently, and they're probably like not wanting it to be operating at a loss. So they're thinking of the best time to make it come out that it might be good. They're talking now April, right? April, right before the release of Avengers Infinity War, just getting in right before summer season when it all goes completely crazy with Avengers and then Solo and Deadpool and all those other movies. They're probably wanting to get it in around that time when they still have a shot at making some money. And of course, January would be a good time. This month would have been good. February's bogged down by Black Panther. And March is going to have its set of releases too. So yeah, April makes some sense. It does. But it says here that Netflix is in talk to acquire God Particle from Paramount, the studio that made the latest thriller from J.J. Abrams' Cloverfield movie series. Sources say it's unclear if a deal makes, but if the ink does dry, it will come on the heels of Paramount's December deal with Netflix, which had unloaded the new Alex Garland-directed movie Annihilation on the digital streamer, which picked up all international territories except domestic from the studio. Paramount was set to release Particle on April 20th. So this actually makes sense from a worldwide perspective. I was listening to the John Campea podcast earlier today, and he did talk about this too, which my thoughts on it were the exact same thing. And this has kind of been backed up a little bit, if you go over to the Cloverfield subreddit, they have talked about the release of God Particle onto different in other territories, and it's being put out there by Netflix. I don't know how true or real that is, but that's the floating around right now. And if they just want to focus on the domestic earnings for God Particle, they'll release it in theaters and therefore release the film in other countries, through Netflix. And they've done this before. I mean, with Annihilation, it makes sense. Paramount wants to make money. They realize that the domestic market is obviously the number one for this, and they want to clearly try and capitalize, on that, while basically taking the money from the international market that may not pay out. And Netflix, if anything, is a sure deal. It is. If anything, it's an absolute sure deal to make money, to recoup some of your costs, and then they'll gamble on the domestic, wait a few months, and then drop it to Netflix themselves. And that being said, too, those of people, I should say, who like to sail the high seas on the internet, that was not a Freudian slip, they'll be able to get their hands on the movie through a 1080p rip as soon as it drops in other countries. Similar accidents have happened with The Hitman's Bodyguard, by the way. Anyway, so the culling of Paramount's release slate is being spearheaded by Chairman Jim Giannopoulos. Sources tell The Hollywood Reporter that Giannopoulos took over reins in spring 2017, watching the movies he had inherited and making some hard choices. He sat down and looked at what is theatrical and what is not in this day and age, says one source. Certain movies were not making the cut. And ultimately, as awesome and amazing as the Cloverfield franchise is, and it is, I love it. I can see that argument being made. Does Cloverfield need to be seen on the big screen? One of the major complaints about Cloverfield was the shaky cam, and that was a hard thing to watch on the big screen. I'll just tell you this. I saw the movie 6 times opening weekend. I can't even tell you how many times in total I saw the movie in theaters when I worked at my theater. So I saw it for free, which is part of that 6 times, 4 of those 6 times. And then I paid to go see it at other theaters 3 other times. So I saw it a bunch of times on the big screen, never impacted me, but I can see how that could impact other people. And that could be something that they thought about in regards to this. The shaky cam is what people remember the most about Cloverfield. Even though 10 Cloverfield Lane is a good movie, people are still going to associate Cloverfield with the shaky cam, and that could... I don't know how true this is, but that to me feels like maybe an argument there. Never mind the fact that they just don't know how to market God Particle, because if the movie is 3 months away from coming out, we have no poster, we have no trailer, we have no promotional photos, we have no behind the scenes photos. There's nothing in regards to marketing of this movie. So yeah, I can understand that he's making some hard choices. Paramount has produced and released the 2 previous Cloverfield movies to great profitability. The movies took unique perspectives on what was traditionally big budget movies. Cloverfield, released in 2008, directed by Matt Reeves, was a found-footage monster movie made for $25 million that grossed $80 million domestically. 10 Cloverfield Lane was an alien invasion movie that cost even less and made $72 million domestically. So yes, compared to the price of entry for what these films cost, I believe the opening weekend totals for Cloverfield in 2008 was $30 million, so effectively earning back its production budget in that weekend. As well as going on to do the $80 million domestically, of which I spent, I contributed to that multiple times over. Every time I paid to go see it in the theater, I paid for somebody else. So yeah, I'm a fan. I've talked about that before though. So that's ultimately the way that I see it, is like they're looking to, you know, they know the franchise has profitability to it. They know that there's a fan base around it, but it's probably just domestically, and that's where they want to put it. And another thing I want to kind of quickly say here, because I mentioned I was listening to John Campea earlier. Campea overlooked the fact that these films had lower budgets and were profitable for the studio, right? Like, he really overlooked that. And that's another thing too, is people overlook the profitability of the Cloverfield franchise. They do. They just want to go, oh, it's just a monster movie. It's a fucking profitable monster movie. Damn it. I'm defensive. Anyway, it says Particle, which is otherwise known as Cloverfield Station, seems to eschew the model from the get-go. The budget was in the over $40 million range. The cast was more established and bloated. And yeah, it's got a lot of people there. Sources say the movie needed some work, while Abrams expressed an intent to get down to business in post-production. It was too little too late. Several sources suggested that Abrams' attention may have been taken by his unexpected new assignment, the final installment of the Star Wars Skywalker episodes, which he signed on in September. Yeah, that makes some sense. Now, again, there are rumors circulating around with this right now that suggest that this is in fact going to be the this is going to be like a thing, like where Netflix is currently in talks to acquire the rights to Cloverfield, and ultimately, yes, that's what I want. I fully admit that. If Cloverfield through Bad Robot can go from Paramount to Netflix and work with them directly, then I believe that we will be able to get the anthology series that this is meant to be. I think we can finally get all of the films, get the full complete story, because as more emerges, as time goes on, these movies feel like they might actually be more connected than not. And in terms of a straight timeline of events, depending. I've heard some interesting theories about God Particle in terms of time travel, but we won't know until we see it, and we won't know until we dive into the ARG that's been presented before us. But to kind of wrap this whole thing up, I want this to happen. I want Netflix to take it, because they care about this kind of stuff. They care about the creative process and the allowing of creators to be able to do that. To actually go and tell these stories and do these things without oversight, the type of over-executive oversight, the type of too many notes sort of things. And I think Cloverfield, with that kind of freedom, would not only give J.J. Abrams what he wants, it would be a very, very big and good thing for Netflix. Get a quick drink in, because we got more Netflix things to talk about here. Oh, yeah. Netflix execs say that they're not afraid of Disney's streaming service. Now, this new service that Disney has planned is, oh boy, it's going to rival Netflix. When they first announced it, I thought to myself, man, they're taking it on. they're taking it on. They're going to go after the big N. I understand that. And what competition is a healthy thing. It is. It's better for the consumer as a whole. And Disney is, quite frankly, the only company that could rival Netflix, just in terms of a sheer library and the popularity of said library. And then we learn that Netflix decided to, that Disney decided to purchase BAMTech, which is a streaming service, or streaming software service, essentially, over buying Twitter last year. And that was solidifying that their intent moved into the marketplace. And now, this $52 billion deal with Fox to acquire their library, oh man, that's really going to open up what they've got on the service by not only having, let's say, all of Fox's movies, of which there are decades worth, but all their TV shows. Just imagine all seasons of The Simpsons right there, right? All of them right there, ready to go. That to me is important. That to me is a big deal. But I've been kind of curious to see whether or not Netflix would actually feel the heat from this. And it says here that they're not afraid. Netflix isn't afraid of competition from Disney's upcoming direct-to-consumer offering, executives said on Monday. We don't see it as a threat to any of us more than Hulu has been. Oh, Reed Hastings, what are you saying, man? How can you sit there and say, we don't see this as a threat to any of us more than Hulu has been? Dude, are you serious? Like, that is one of the most cocky and short-sighted things you could say right now. Now, granted, you're probably trying to buff out your chest a bit. You know, you're throwing some shade back at Disney, right? You probably are trying to do that because you know that things have done well. Bright did exceptionally well for Netflix. I mean, like so much so that they're like, you know, critics suck an egg, man. Fans like this stuff. But ultimately, when you look at this year, Hulu has got about 8 to 10 million users, right? 8 to 10 million users, and it hasn't really been able to grow past that. A lot of that has to do with the contracts that the television companies sign, or the production companies that own the television shows sign with Hulu by, you know, keeping it capped at like 4 or 5 episodes without previous seasons for new shows. It just makes it hard to get into. People lose interest and then they don't watch. Whereas Netflix will give you everything. One of the reasons why Netflix also has 100 million users and Hulu has 10% of that, if not less. So if they look at Disney's, you know, decision to weigh into this, and they're basically trying to go, you're Hulu, baby, you're Hulu. It ain't gonna work. Ain't gonna fly. Ain't gonna fly one damn bit. Seriously, it won't work. He added that he expected Disney service to be very successful because of the company's brands and content. Yeah. Look, man, I'm just being honest here. I got a 7-week-old daughter, okay? And by the time that she's old enough when this service comes to fruition, complete with all Fox's content, I can already tell you that for the most part, I will probably be watching a lot more Disney than I will be Netflix, simply because the vast amount of quality content that they will have aimed at children, like all the nostalgia content, is going to be there. And if you're asking me like, well, do you want to like watch Paw Patrol on Netflix with your daughter, or do you want to show your daughter like a Goofy movie? I'll be like, Goofy movie all day, every day, man. Right? Like I'm saying like there's not going to be much competition. Not if they bring all the Disney XD shows, the cartoon shows, right? Like, I mean, they've already got the app out right now, but if they put that into a straight streaming service, oh my God, man. Like, Reed, dude, no, you can't. Like, I understand you want to be cocky, but you got to be having a plan on the back end. And I know that plan will probably be to completely keep renewing all of the Marvel Netflix series for as long as you possibly can. But what about when Disney starts making those series for their own service? Because they gonna. I'm just saying, it's cocky, man. It's a little bit too cocky. He says, I know I'll be a subscriber of it. That's awesome. Disney announced last summer that it has plans to launch a Disney-branded video subscription service in 2019. As part of that effort, Disney chose not to renew its distribution agreement with Netflix, which means that theatrical releases from 2019 on will stream on Disney's own service instead. And in December, Disney announced the planned $52.4 billion acquisition of 20th Century Fox, which would ultimately further bolster Disney's services. Reed says here that I was surprised as anyone that Fox was willing to sell, but he also tried to assure consumers that the impact of the deal will be minimal. These big U.S. media company mergers are pretty peripheral to us, and that is actually very true. It really is. The merger of the company, or not really the merger, it's straight up freaking acquisition, $52.4 billion. Disney paid out $4 billion for Marvel, $4.8 billion or $4.6 billion or $4.06 billion for Lucas. Okay, so I mean, we're talking 10 times, you know, plus per, you know, if you break down the sales for Fox. So he's again, like, this is the peripheral thing. Dude, come on, man. Like, that's no small thing. However, Netflix is committed to releasing excellent content. And they know that they've got the market share. They know that people, they know that they're bringing out, they got movies up for Oscar nominations right now. Like, they know what they're doing. And at no point am I trying to sit there and say that Reed doesn't know what he's doing and everything else. But saying that it's like, not a big deal is going to be an issue, I think, somewhere down the road. Because ultimately, I think Netflix will be fine. No one's going to lose out on anything. Hulu is probably going to be the one that hurts the most, to be honest with you. Most people really only want to pay for 2, maybe 3 services, ultimately. So if you've got Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon, and you already pay for Amazon Instant because that comes with the service and you already use it, well, which one are you going to, which one are you going to clip? That would probably be Hulu. However, just as a side thing to that, So you figure with the purchase of Fox, then Disney gets a controlling stake in Hulu. Now, Disney could also then take BAMTech or whatever their service is going to be and attach it to Hulu. So then those people who want to get all access to that information can just go through one app and just pay the extra service fee. That's something as well. And if they combine that together, which they might actually be able to do now that they have the controlling stake, or when the deal goes through, provided the government approves it, again, it's going to be very interesting when you start looking at it from just a business perspective. Again, I can appreciate the cockiness of Reed Hastings here, and I respect the dude to no end. He's done things that are just amazing for not only online streaming, but revolutionized the video, the movie world, and putting in money, billions worth of content every single year is awesome. So I have nothing but mad respect, but I don't want him to feel like, I don't want him to not be on his toes, because he needs to be. And now he also argued that Netflix won't feel much of the impact of Disney movies disappearing from the service. It's great content, but we need to be able to grow without it just fine, but we are able to grow without it just fine. He said, adding that the current output deal has been limited to the United States. And that ultimately is where a lot of this boils down to. It is just in the United States, because the domestic market is where most of the money comes from, at least most of the profit comes from. And that's the deals they want to have. And so as a result, we're going to see a lot of that. That's going to be coming up a lot here. And I'm probably overthinking the situation a little bit. I'm pretty sure Reed is saying these comments predominantly in jest, and that they do have a strategy for continuously growing while still battling Disney. And the likelihood of that would be getting themselves out to more territories with more people, bolstering subscriptions, and going from there. Netflix is not going to lose out. It's not going to lose any money, and it's not going to fall apart anytime soon. Right? It's just not. And as a result of that, I just have to kind of laugh and talk about it, because I don't want them to find themselves in a position where Disney is outfox Netflix. I want them to more outfox Disney, to be honest with you, because Disney is really big and really powerful. And while they put out good content, I do think they need to be knocked down a peg or two. Seriously, I love it, but something here. All right, so here's something fun. Sony's getting in a little bit of the shade throwing. Sony chief wants a Jumanji sequel to open against Star Wars Episode 9. Now, if you haven't been paying attention to what's going on in terms of Jumanji and Welcome to the Jungle and its success versus Star Wars, you should be. Now, while Star Wars The Last Jedi worldwide is well over $1 billion at this point, domestically, Jumanji has held its own quite well. This movie is one that nobody really wanted to see, by the way. I just want to put that out there. No one was excited for this movie. But it is a bona fide success. It is a bona fide blockbuster, and one that will continuously be a franchise. Finally, The Rock has his own franchise. Lord knows he's wanted it for a while, but now he's finally got it. So it says, after becoming a surprise hit at the box office, it seems Sony's Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle has given the studio enough confidence to compete against one of the biggest blockbusters today, Star Wars. That's funny. It is funny. It is funny to me. It is really funny, because it's like, is this said in jest? Is this a joke? Is this a thing? We don't quite know yet, but ultimately, I think Sony will go for it, because at this point, really, what do they have to lose? Right? They really don't have that much to lose. A new report from the Wall Street Journal reveals that Sony chief Tom Rothman is hoping to release a sequel to Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle in time to go up against Star Wars Episode 9 during the holiday 2019 season. While Welcome to the Jungle sequel is yet to be officially greenlit, the film has managed to pull in a $771 million global haul, topping the worldwide take of Justice League and pushing the studio past $1 billion at the domestic box office for 2017. Yeah, they really needed it too. Sony was hurting pretty bad. Keep in mind that one of the biggest ones that they've made money on was basically Spider-Man Homecoming and Jumanji. Dark Tower tanked out, crashed and burned. Baby Driver did pretty well for the budget and then the take home, plus Baby Driver is a great movie. But yeah, they want to take on Star Wars, because the fan response to Star Wars has been, let's face it, not the best, right? You know, it's a big fight. Very similar to the Ghostbusters 2016 fight. It's a fight. It's weird. You have the press basically picking up the sword and shield to defend Star Wars The Last Jedi from people who aren't too happy with how the movie played out. Very similar to how the press was doing the same thing with Ghostbusters. And I have to kind of laugh when I see this particular statement from Tom Rothman, that he wants to have it go up against it, because they're not alone in that market, by the way. They're ultimately not alone. What's opening in the first week of December 2019, or first or second week? Wonder Woman 2. Wonder Woman 2 is opening up that same month. So we're getting some big movies coming out in December of next year. Now, I get what Tom Rothman's doing. Will it beat out The Last Jedi, or will it beat out whatever episode 9 is going to be? And the answer to that is probably not. If they want to open up against it, that is a bad play. But at the same time, I mean, you know, Star Wars generally is supposed to suck the air out of everything following it for a couple weeks, just like Marvel movies are. That's the reason why you know, Deadpool was moved from June 2nd to May 18th by bumping it up by 2 weeks, so they're not going to be in the second week warpath of Solo Star Wars story. And so I get that. So here we've got Sony basically looking at that tactic and saying, like, nope, we're going to go at them. And they might actually have a shot. If Star Wars Episode 9 does not do what they needed to do, and fans have just been turned off by everything that happened with that movie, and the fallout from that movie, then it's entirely possible that what we're going to see is Star Wars usurped by a remake, or by a sequel of a movie from the 1990s that nobody asked for. That is saying something. Now, I have said, and I'm just being honest here, I have said that I feel that Kathleen Kennedy probably needs to step down as Star Wars. I feel like the direction of the franchise has not been very good, and I feel that the story groups are not connecting with the overall canon, that it feels very messed up, right? And there feels like there's a lack of leadership there. I feel like or at this point, Kathleen Kennedy has more you know, motivation to work on the Me Too movement than Star Wars, ultimately. And I feel like that's not going to change, even with Solo, a Star Wars story. So ultimately, this is kind of where we find ourselves, is if they don't get correct course, essentially. And as we've seen, Star Wars movies have dropped in box office hauls from, you know, The Force Awakens to now. Solo is going to be a big indicator of that. If Solo doesn't cross the $1 billion mark, that's going to not be good for Lucas. And if that is kind of what they're running into with the sequel to Jumanji, if it's heralded anywhere near as well as this one was, then yeah, they could go up head to head and actually lose in the long run. Not the opening, not the short run, but the long run. And that would do a lot to not only reaffirm Tom Rothman as being the right choice to run Sony, of which I do believe is a bad idea. Tom Rothman sucks. He needs to go. But then it would also really damage the Star Wars brand for losing out to that. So, yeah. Anything could happen with that. All right. Let's jump into the last story here. Star Wars The Last Jedi releasing deleted scenes, but we're not going to be able to see them. Yeah. One of the biggest problems of Star Wars The Last Jedi, ultimately for me, was what I felt was a clear lack of vision for the overall story. There was so much going on, so many little plot developments from The Force Awakens that were just completely ignored, little plot holes that made no sense for The Last Jedi as a whole. And then even now we're seeing things where they're trying to run some kind of damage control. Like yesterday, Star Wars Twitter account was showing off images of the bombers from the opening of the movie, and saying that all the bombs had little magnets on them that would then drop them through space so they would hit their target. Now, one of the complaints I made about that scene was that they're in an open airlock, you know, in a bomber in space. There's no air in there, right? There should be no gravity in there, essentially. And yet Rose's sister, whatever her name is, Tina, I think, or whatever, she had no mask on and she was walking around just fine. And, you know, because keep in mind, we see her, shots looking down as, you know, over the dreadnought, complete open space, the bombs fall, and they hit their target like we're watching a World War II documentary or something like this. It just felt very weird and didn't fall into the physics of space. Now, I know what you're thinking, Matt, come on, this is Star Wars. This is a space western, space opera, sci-fi sort of thing. Physics don't apply, especially with like the Flying Leia scene. Now, the Flying Leia scene, physics applied, right? When the airlock was busted, everyone got sucked out. And we know what happened next. I will never forget. Every time I think about that scene, all I keep thinking about is dun 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 dun. Like, I just think the Superman theme song. That's all I think. If you haven't seen that little clip, you should. It's very funny. Now, here's what it says in the article here. Lucasfilm has some very special Star Wars The Last Jedi deleted scenes on its way, although these won't be on the Blu-ray or digital release. Right? The latest edition of the Star Wars show features the exciting announcement that Rian Johnson has contributed some exclusive material to the upcoming novelization from writer Jason Fry. Johnson reveals that he helped the author flesh out some interesting deleted scenes from the film, adding that's some of the fun stuff you can do in a novel that you can't always get into on the screen. So let's just unpack that for a second. Let's just unfurl that for a moment. Rian Johnson essentially is saying, well, there is some stuff we couldn't get to in the movie, so we're just going to pepper that into the novelization so then fans can get an overall better idea of the story itself to fill in those pesky plot holes that people keep complaining on my Twitter about. That's basically what's going on here. Just another reason why I have complained about this movie in terms of its story. It didn't know what it wanted, and that is just a general trait of Rian Johnson being a writer. But it says here that this means that some of the hugely important material excised from the finished Last Jedi will be introduced back into the official Star Wars canon once the novelization is released on March 6th. So on March 6th, I can finally read about all the little details that I never knew about. And actually, one of the things I want to do is I want to do a Star Wars book club sort of thing. And so that could actually be the good start to it, would be to start reading that and discussing with people, because I do want to read it. I do want to know what's in there. I'm still kind of upset, though, that I feel like this was little details that they wanted to, you know, put into this thing. Now, it says that Rian Johnson and I had some amazing conversations for I Tells a Star Wars Show. We got to write entirely new scenes for the book, Han Solo's funeral, Rose and Paige Tico together. It was Paige, not Tina, sorry. And further explorations of the fascinating world of Canto Bight, just to name a few. So those three things. For one, I've talked about this before. The Han Solo funeral scene was one that was talked about a year ago, right? Like, when it came up to the discussion of why wasn't Lando Calrissian in the movie, and I was like, but isn't there supposed to be a funeral scene? Because that was talked about. So why wouldn't they get him there? Now, if you go back to watch the beginning of the movie, which clearly they're going to be adding in a whole bunch of information that connects The Force Awakens to The Last Jedi. One of the things you got to think about here too is get to the end of the movie, just the end of Force Awakens, right? The end of Force Awakens. Everyone goes back to the Resistance base, right? Everyone's there, and that wasn't until the end of The Last Jedi where Rey and Poe meet for the first time, essentially therefore setting up a new love triangle because Finn and Rose have each other now. So Finn's out of the game in that regard. It's going to be Poe and Kylo and Rey. That's going to be the triangle. That's what they're going for now. I guarantee it. And he's like, oh yeah, we never met the last time, but we all went to the thing together. Now, if you remember, one of the biggest complaints out of The Force Awakens was, and J.J. Abrams has admitted to this mistake as well, is that when they got back from Starkiller Base to Leia, Leia walked over to Rey, a girl of which she had never met before, and hugged her. That was a mistake that J.J. Abrams admitted. And I took that as being Rey being the central character of the film. Her story is the eyes through which the audience is seeing it. That was their way of comforting the audience, essentially. And again, I can't watch that movie without getting teary-eyed when that happens. This is how I am. But ultimately, that was the thing that they had a problem with. But you're telling me, though, in the moments from there, that when they go and they put the map in the thing and they figure out where Luke is, that they wouldn't have met. Again, just kind of poor writing, in my opinion. Now, Rose and Paige Tico together, obviously people can complain about that quite a bit. Like, why should we care about this whole relationship? Now they're going to give us more with that, to give us a reason to care about the death of Rose. I'm also pretty sure we're going to get a lot more Admiral Hodo. We're going to get a lot more of that as to why we as an audience should care about when she died. That should be a thing too. And then also Canto Bight. Now, Canto Bight, I will say this about Canto Bight. I hated the scene. Liked the politics of the scene. I liked the politics of what DJ was saying quite a bit. I found that to be quite fascinating, right? When he was like, how do these people make their money? And he was talking about, war profiteering. That was an interesting place to have that discussion. But we got no reason to care about it in that moment. We had no reason. And so now if we get a lot more information out of Canto Bight as to why this stuff happened the way that it happened, then yeah, sure, fine. We're going to get a bit more info here that will definitely come in handy. Anyway, it says here, it's possible that some of the deleted scenes actually shot by Johnson will be available for fans to watch on the upcoming home video release as well, which is true. I've seen a couple things floating around on Twitter right now, a couple little scenes, new scenes involving Rey. And when she's on the island and some kind of fire that takes place, something like that. So we will get some more deleted scenes. I just really hope that the further we get close, I just really hope that there's a lot of retconning that's going to happen. And I feel they're going to be retconning a lot of stuff in the Last Jedi novelization. One of the reasons why the novelization is waiting until almost 4 months past the release of the movie, or 3.5 months past the release of the movie, essentially, before it comes out, because I think they've gone back to tweak a couple things in order to fill in the gaps that they just, graciously omitted from the movie. So then they can say, oh, but no, it's part of canon. We've explained it. It's just in the book. Further adding to my criticism of Rian Johnson, of where he is a tell, not a show writer. That's what he does. He tells you things. He doesn't show you things. And that is one of the biggest complaints with this movie. So I'm hoping that the book fills it in, and that the next movie does everything it can to make us forget. Okay. That was a lot. Let's bring up the chat. Let's bring up the chat here. Okay. So what we've got here is a couple things. You guys got questions, hit me up, man. Let me know. I'm gonna take a quick look here, see if anyone dropped in via super chat, and no one did, which is fine. So we'll talk for a little bit, about 10 minutes or so. Burnout says, I think Disney is rushing these things too quickly. If they didn't have to release Star Wars movie every year, they may get more time to get it right. But they've learned through Marvel and the success of that if they do release every year, at least if they do the main franchise every other year, and then kind of other films in between, then they can make it work. But yeah, they're trying to really establish their own canon, so to speak, and that's having problems. Do I like Star Wars Rebels? Yes, I love it. I haven't seen all of season 3, and I'm behind on season 4. So, yeah, Disney owns like 60% of Hulu after the Fox purchase. Yeah, absolutely. Turn off those pesky plot holes. Absolutely. You still need to watch The Last Jedi. You do, Johnny. It's not a bad movie. It just has its problems. I keep getting accused of like changing my opinion on it. Like, oh, Monday Matt lightened his opinion. I'm like, I saw the movie again, and I'm apathetic to things that I saw in it. I don't hate the movie. I have problems with certain bits. Rebels is childish and screws up the canon. Yeah, get to later episodes, man. Am I picking up the new God of War? Probably not. I don't even know when it comes out, to be honest with you. So, I don't know. Thoughts on TJ Kirk's idea for a Lando blaxploitation spinoff? I'm down with that, man. Yeah, I'd be down with that. Fucking Lando Calrissian all of a sudden becoming the Shaft of the Star Wars universe. Bring it on. Right? Nah, purebred, man. Just if you like and talk. So, Cloverfield versus 10 Cloverfield Lane. Clearly, Cloverfield is more for me than 10 Cloverfield Lane. 10 Cloverfield Lane I thought was wonderful. It was a slow burn thriller That the climax was fantastic, and I really enjoyed the characters. John Goodman was snubbed for not getting a best supporting actor nod. Fry Guy, I'm way behind on the chat reading. Well, Fry Guy said that I was going through all the story. I wasn't doing, saying hold on the questions until the end. As we go through, hold on your questions. We'll talk about it for a little bit, but I was just getting through the general story. Oh, the new website has new audio. Okay, I gotta go check that out. I need to teach some tips and tricks in OBS. I have a very simple design on OBS. Netflix is in a very powerful, very precarious position and play their cards right, and the studio system will have to adapt. Yeah, no, and I think they know this. Look at the success of Bright. Like, there's an article that I found that I wanted to cover, and maybe I'll bring it up for tomorrow. But Bright was like, got them like a whole bunch of new subscribers, and it was received very well throughout the people who watched it, which is why they don't care about what the critics had to say, because like people are watching. The same with Iron Fist, man. Iron Fist had a horrible Rotten Tomatoes score, but the audience score was high. I liked it quite a bit, actually. Have I read the Japanese Cloverfield comic? I haven't, but I want to. You want a Darth Maul movie? I would do a Darth Maul movie, but make Sam Witwer Darth Maul, man. Bring that in. I'd be okay with that. I loved him as Darth Maul on Rebels. So season 3 is when Rebels really picks up. Yeah, I would say season 2 is when Rebels picks up, man. Everything with I don't want to say with who, because if you've seen Clone Wars, I don't want to spoil it, but everything with that one character and then the other 3 characters that they find that are from the Clone Wars TV show, I liked it a lot. As of now, Rogue One is your favorite Star Wars film. Yeah, I really, really liked Rogue One. I don't get the hatred for Rogue One at all. I really don't. I loved it. Jar Jar Binks movie? No, Allie. No. No, that's okay. We don't need that. We don't need that at all. We're fine. We're totally fine. I'm okay with all that. Let's see. I'm trying to find. There's a thing you can look at on here that. Let's see. Maybe this is it. Okay. Let's see. Clone Wars is pretty much retcon the prequels. Maybe not. I don't know. Let's see. You don't hate Rogue One, but you couldn't bring yourself to care for most of the characters. I understand that. I feel like the characters, because they were so new, it was troubling. But I think the more you watch them, the more you come to respect the archetype of the character versus everything else. So, Johnny Cornbread, I actually am really behind on Star Trek Discovery. I haven't seen any of the new episodes yet. So, are you sure we don't need Jar Jar versus Ewoks versus the Porgs? I'd be okay with that. What really disturbs you about The Last Jedi is how they treated Luke. That's my biggest complaint. That's my biggest complaint, is how they treated Luke. And what I quote unquote love about the critical backlash to that, and like when fans are complaining about it, essentially, is that they go, oh yeah, nah, it's the way they handled Luke was great. It's out with the old, in with the new sort of thing. And I'm like, no, you don't sit there and take one of the top characters in literary history, right? One of the top characters in pop culture for nearly half a decade, and treat him like that, do him dirty like that. You don't do that, but no, they did. So Darth Plagueis is no longer a thing. I don't know. I don't know if Plagueis is no longer a thing. I don't know. I'm hoping that I have a feeling they're going to bring that in, to be honest with you. So they treated Luke like garbage. Yeah. Rogue One felt like Halo Reach. It did kind of. Yeah, but that's okay, man. Halo Reach is fucking dope. Halo Reach was great. It was fantastic. Okay, so I just saw a thing here saying that the Solo trailer should be up pretty soon. Probably going to be, I'm not too sure when it's going to be up. It'll be up pretty soon. The only scene in Rogue One you liked was Vader's ass kicking on the rebels. Oh man, that was a great scene. Have you seen that scene when they added in Queen's "Don't Stop Me Now"? Right, like someone added that together. It was pretty funny. Were you the only one that thought that Porg's flippers were floppy ears? No. Maybe. Maybe. Reach was a lot better than the crap 343 made. Yeah, the fact that 343 tried to retcon, like, the story, changed the official story, made, like, very little sense to me. The Fall of Reach was a great book. So I don't quite know why. Super Bowl will be the first guest for Solo trailer. When is a Super Bowl? What is that? Is that the 4th? So what, like a week and a half away? Maybe. Maybe. So that could be something. I don't know if that's gonna happen or not. I have a feeling it might drop before the. I have a feeling we'll see like a teaser before the trailer, and they'll drop a full trailer at Super Bowl, or we'll see a teaser for it during the Super Bowl, and the full trailer will be online. I don't know. Do I think the Dundee movie is real? The Dundee movie is not real, actually, according to reports coming out today. I didn't put it in the video or in the podcast, but I did see it online. Basically, it's just for a tourism guide for Australia. So there's that. Hey, what's going on, Luca? How is Albania? Have I read from a certain point of view? I haven't. Seems too late to bring out a trailer. Well, the movie's coming out like in 5 months, so they need a trailer. I mean, Avengers Infinity War comes out 4 weeks beforehand, and they've already got a trailer. So I should watch the Dave Chappelle. I've seen The Bird Redemption and Equanimity. Both are fantastic. Both are utterly fantastic. Blue, green, or yellow saber? I'm straight up green. Green is my favorite color. So I definitely am all for that. Okay, let's see here. I'm just checking something real quick. Okay. Fantastic Fan Forsic delayed the trailer. Yeah, they did. Yeah, didn't they also like hold reviews, like embargo everything? Marvel needs to make a Savage Land or Devil Dinosaur movie. I saw someone write an article today about Savage Lands, so I don't know. I don't know if Marvel. I mean, I don't know what Marvel's going to do. I have a feeling Marvel's going to start phasing out the characters now and push them towards, very much push it towards everything. You know, what's the word I want to use? I think they're going to push in the new characters. They're going to reboot the X-Men series, probably like in the next like 5 years. Once they get their hands on it completely, and the other movies kind of have time to pass, they'll recast everything and bring it in. So, Matt versus Mark Hamill. What would we fight about? I don't want to fight Mark Hamill. If I was in a room with Mark Hamill, I just want to hug him. I just want to hug him and be like, dude, I'd be a freaking blubbering mess, man. Yeah, the purple Sam Jackson bit was great. That was freaking fantastic. Do I still play Battlefront 2? I haven't played it in a little bit, and that's just because I spend most of my time like at night out in my living room, which is where I've got my Xbox hooked up out there. So my PS4's in here, and if I'm in here, I've just been working. So I haven't played as much. I need to. But yeah, I have nothing against Battlefront 2. I like it. I still like it quite a bit. You know, Fan 4-6 sucked when Stan Lee wants no part in it. That is so true. Why won't they just save Solo for the new streaming service? Probably because they want to push the Memorial Day weekend. They've been wanting to hold Memorial Day weekend for a long time, because that's when Star Wars opened, May 5th, 1977, right? They want to hold, or is it May 25th, 1977, I think. That's when they want to hold it. They want that weekend. And they were going to do that with episode 8. Episode 8 was supposed to open last Memorial Day, right? It was supposed to open last Memorial Day, and then they were going to take over that, and then have that be on the 40th anniversary of Star Wars release. But that didn't happen. And so then they had set Solo for May. At this point, I think Solo is going to be pushed back to December, if you want my honest opinion. I have a feeling they're going to make that decision in the next couple days. If we don't get a trailer, it's being pushed back to winter. But that's one of the reasons why too they pushed episode 9 from May 2019 to December 2019. So do I think that purple lightsaber is owned by Samuel L. Jackson? Probably. EA stock has recovered after the Battlefront fiasco. Yeah, it makes sense, man. They're not going to sit there and be down forever. So, do I think the MCU would have benefited from Black Widow movie around the time Captain America came out? No, actually, I don't. Because she wasn't, while she's in the Avengers, she is not necessarily like a key figure in the Avengers. So ultimately, to me, that's not a big deal. To me, that's not a huge deal at all. So I think that they should, I think that the best course of action would have been for them to release it probably phase 2, right? And that would have been a good time to release a Black Widow movie would have been then. The fact that they've waited this long and everything else tells me that there's probably not enough merchandise of Black Widow being sold. That's probably what it is. Hawkeye and Black Widow are probably selling the least amount of merchandise. So they're not going to give them a movie that they don't know is going to do very well, and they can't sell merch. So Solo pushed back to 2065. Solo is the first Star Wars movie that you're not excited for. We'll see when the trailer drops. I mean, like, I'm excited for it because it's Solo. I want to see it. I want to see how Han and Chewie met. I want to see how Lando Calrissian. I want to see the Millennium Falcon. I want to see it. I'm definitely on board for it, but I'm concerned. I'm a little bit concerned. So there's definitely a lot of good stuff there, and I think a lot of stuff that that we could get a lot out of here. Hold on, I'm trying to see something here. Okay, well, no, never mind. There's this funny thing too. YouTube real quick. YouTube will let you know on. Oh no, I think they do it on. Oh no, down here. There we go. I'm trying to see the analytics for the stream because. Oh, okay, cool. So, as a quick side thing, for anyone out there that's currently trying to get into YouTube and is a little bit stuck on the whole 4,000 hours and 1,000 subscribers for monetization, I've been doing the stream for an hour, a little over an hour, about an hour, 10 minutes, and get the average view duration is 17 minutes, and the total time viewed is 106 hours. So, you do streams, you can get yourself back up there, just so you guys know on that one. So, who is in for a TLJ remake? Yeah, exactly. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna fuck off out of this thing here in a second, just because I have got a lot more work to do. I got to get these videos out, get these videos uploaded and ready to go. Plus, the main content is still coming. Those videos are done for today. I just have to get them online. So I will be back tomorrow, hopefully a little bit earlier than 4 p.m. Keep an eye out on my Twitter. You guys can join in on the Discord. Make sure that's, I don't know if those are still there. Those aren't even there. Okay. So let me get you guys a Discord, the Discord link, because you guys can come in there and chat, and we can have conversations, and everything else. So, oh, God damn it. DTube does not allow streams, but I'm on DTube as well. DTube's for other stuff, so I'm gonna probably be making something on there too. Anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Really appreciate it. I love that we can do this and get 100 people in here talking about movies and shit. I look forward to doing this tomorrow, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.